In March 2022, I found myself in the United Arab Emirates. I had an opportunity to search for a tribal culture that was disappearing in the sand. This is the story of how I found them. So I've just got off the phone with Saqib, the fixer in UAE. It's just me, some camera equipment, just interested in these stories and these authentic people. What did you think of the brief?
No, brief is good. I find it interesting because I've done a lot of things, but I never actually touched on the aspect of the historical lifestyle of what you're trying to capture.
He just came back from a recce today down near Hatta, near the Oman border in the UAE, to look at a couple of settlements down there that live similar to the old kind of Bedouin tribal lifestyle.
I was speaking to one of my friends a few minutes ago, and he just told me, he said, Fujairah side, where the settlements are, that's where the old Emiratis are. They're not many, but that's where you're going to get the whole natural look. Because
where is that? Did you say? Where?
It's Fujairah. It's towards Oman border.
Because the UAE is so modernized these days, there are very, very few local tribal ways of living there at the moment. So I really want to try and capture it before it's completely extinct. Try and find that story that I'm trying to get, which I know is there. And we'll see what we can do. We just have to look a little bit harder. So just landed in Dubai and had a little visit with the customs officers, and unfortunately they confiscated the drone, which I was pretty sure was going to happen anyway, because we know that it's banned here at the moment due to an accident they had in Abu Dhabi last year. It's over there at the back, look. Day one, and we've had a frustrating day, a little bit. And not many people wanting to have their photo taken.
अच्छा एक बात बताएं कि सुबह सूरज जो है ना 6:20 पे सूरज निकलता है. असल में जो सूरज जब निकलता है ना उस वक्त लाइट बहुत खूबसूरत होती है तस्वीरें लेने के लिए.
Saqib has found some shepherds that kind of still live slightly authentic and tribal lifestyle. So we've got them planned for tomorrow morning. So it's an early start, and we'll see what we get, right? So here we are in the outskirts of Ras Al Khaimah. We're looking for a selection of camel herders. We spent all day. It's been another very frustrating day because there's some politics and there's some permissions and that kind of stuff. So Saqib is going to speak to the owner of the camel farm. Well, we've been here since 6 a.m. this morning. Now it's 7 p.m. and we unfortunately didn't get much. And just as we were leaving, this lovely Emirati stopped and offered us tea. And we got chatting, and it turns out that he has some really authentic ways of living with some servants and some ex-tribal people. Although this was not quite what I was looking for, it was too kind of an offer to not accept, and to just see firsthand if there was any opportunity to meet some of the people that I was looking for. At this point, I do want to apologize for the slightly lower quality of video and audio. This was a project I did by myself without any assistance or videographers who could get good BTS footage for me. So yeah, just wanted to mention that as a side note before you continue watching the rest of the film. done a bit of shooting finally today. We've been invited to this Emirati's land house. He's got thousands of acres of desert land, the horses, camels, workers, and he's part of a tribe that's local to this area. We're miles away from anywhere, but these guys have been super nice to us and invited us into their home. So now we're kind of finished for the day and we're having a bite to eat. Okay, so today I decided to make my way to Oman, and now I'm at the border. They won't let me in because I'm driving my friend's car. Well, Saqib, the fixer, he's kindly lent me his car. Yeah, they're not letting me go in. There's a new rule apparently where not only do you need the registration and the license of the owner, the insurance details, and a letter saying that the owner has agreed to lend me his car, they also need an official stamped certificate from the RTA, the Road and Transport Authority in Dubai. So Saqib has to go to the RTA in Dubai now and then get it stamped at the embassy, and then hopefully in an hour, maximum 2 hours, I can get going. Okay, so here now on the Omani side, so in Oman, got through with 3 or 4 hours at the border just trying to get necessary paperwork for the car and paying the visa fees and car insurance and registrations and all this kind of stuff. I've made it, but time is running out. You can see the sun is setting over this mountain, and we're going out to I guess to a recce now. We planned to get here earlier, and now we're just going to meet some people and see if it's suitable and see if it's what I'm after. So a bit of context here as to why I'm suddenly going to Oman. After 3 days of extensive efforts to find Bedouin tribes and get permissions to shoot with them, I realized that I had to change things up a little bit. And so after day 3 and spending time with the Emirati at his land, I spent that night researching, contacting as many guides in Oman as possible. I realized that that was an easy place for me to get to. I could drive there, and through that research, I realized quickly that I just needed to be there. I didn't have much planned, but if I could at least head over there in the limited time that I had, it would increase my chances of meeting people there, meeting guides, meeting locals that could help me find the people that I was looking for. And before I knew it, I had a guide and knew a place where I could meet local villagers that were still living a relatively authentic and simple way of life that was similar to the tribal ways of the Bedouin and other tribes of that area. 5:30 in the morning, another gorgeous night under the stars. No one else around. I think this camp is obviously usually used for multiple parties, but I was fortunate enough that I got it to myself. At this point of the trip, I started to find my groove a little bit. I was completely alone. I didn't have a fixer. I didn't have a guide with me. They were at the end of the phone if I had reception and I needed them, but I felt a little bit more free and I was more comfortable with my environment now I'd been in the country a while. And so my vision of the photos I'd gone so far to get was starting to become reality. And these photos are a depiction of my experience of the shepherds and their inextricable link between their livelihood, which is essentially their camels, and their land, and the work and the history that has been put into their culture up until this point. Before heading to another part of the desert and starting my long journey home, I stopped in the Hajar Mountains and a village there that was famous for rosewater production. This was a nice little change from the barren desert and the heat of the desert, and certainly was interesting watching how they make this rosewater in old-fashioned ways.
The first things we put the rose inside the jar like this. Yeah.
This is super hot right now. It's like just an oven. Okay, so 7 a.m. in the morning, I've just done a couple of photos with my hosts and their children. My host, his name is Badr, and he is traditional Bedouin. His whole family has been for many years. Their whole livelihood revolves mainly around animals. So they've been here for the last couple of years. They are also feeling the effects of climate change, and this is how, or one reason why this part of the world is starting to modernize more and more. Which is why I wanted to get out here and do these kind of photos before they don't exist anymore. This is Badr. Salam alaikum. Just out here having breakfast at Badr's house. We've got dates, bread, coffee, there's always coffee here, and pancakes with honey. And because it's Ramadan, the sun is up and they're not eating, so we have to be a little bit sensitive, which is why really I'm eating on my own. This was a good time to reflect on the nature of my project and what I had learned in my short time there. Outside of the travel and the research and the recceing, I didn't have much time actually with the subjects. I didn't have much time being educated by them on their history and their way of life. But what I did learn on the surface of things, it seemed that such a relatively simple way of living had a complicated past and could have a complicated future, if not a dwindling one. And so it was important to me to get the images of these people in their own environment, to get a snapshot of their lifestyle and what they do and how they feel and maybe what is going through their head. So I hope I did that. I think I just touched the surface. I really would like to go back now that I know better areas to go, certainly some of those neighboring countries or the countries that border the empty quarter desert. I would like to explore those more and certainly dive a little bit deeper into that history really and the culture that goes along with it. So it's been a few weeks now since I got home. I haven't looked at any of the photos yet. I haven't even started any post-production. I've just been finishing up another project. It's always nice to have a break and come back to the photos after a bit of time away from it. I've been thinking about it a lot the last few weeks and just thought I'd share here about kind of the lessons that I learned from my last project. So the first thing that I thought about, research is key. Trust in myself to do that rather than trust someone else to do that, or because then there's that bridge between you and them and you have to communicate your visualization. Be wary that if you are under a strict timeline and strict budget, then you kind of have one shot at this. We drove hundreds and hundreds of miles and spent hours speaking to local people, etc., etc. I ended up with nothing. In essence, what the problem was, we just couldn't find them. The second thing I think would be, trusted myself, trusted my process, and trusted my knowledge, and trusted, that I can do this. And that's what happened with this project, really. Saqib, the fixer I used, I kind of said goodbye to him, and he kindly offered for me to use his car going to Oman. And that kind of changed the game. Kind of the final lesson is to try and identify when something's not working. Sometimes fixes can't come through for you. I will learn a lot from that for the next project. And I'll just make sure that I give myself more time and I recruit the right people. But all in all, great fun. Driving around the Middle East on my own and with other people and meeting these wonderful, wonderful people was, a privilege. And, I'll do it again in a heartbeat. So until the next time.